Hi everyone, this is my video submission for my serverless project. My name is Shivam and I'm a part of group SDP9. My B00 is here on your screen, and the features that I have implemented are user authentication and edit profile. And the cloud services that I have used for my backend services are Firebase for authentication, AWS Lambda API gateway, DynamoDB as a storage, and AWS 3 to store my user icons. We can start off with my feature, user authentication first, and I'm using Firebase as a authentication parameter here. And in order to do that, I'm using the basic email password authentication. Along with that, I'm doing the social media authentication, and as Google and Facebook. I've set up my Facebook apps account separately, and I've added the client secrets, app secrets, and the app ID accordingly in my application, and that is working fine for me. Similarly for the Google, the Firebase gives a basic authentication, so it is easier to configure the Google one. We have not deployed the application yet, but I'll be adding, once deployed, I'll be adding my domain in the authorized domain over here, and then we should be able to do the social media signings. Apart from that, these are the current users that we were using, and the one with the Google icons were signed in using the Google, and this is how we had set up our Firebase authentication over here. And we have kept the project name as CSC5409 SDP9 project. This is the first factor of authentication, and I have the second factor of authentication as the Q&A. So by default, I'm asking some basic questions, which are what's your favorite color, what's your pet name, and where were you born. These are hard coded inside our application, and at later point of time we can edit them to have some random questions out of a question pool. So what happens is, when the user is logged in, we will be using this Lambda, which is connected to this API gateway, and this is the configuration for that API gateway. And when the user is logged in, after the user successfully registers with our application, he'll be prompted to enter his Q&A data, and that Q&A data will be saved as an object inside our application. This is the API gateway that I'll be using for the save Q&A method. So this Lambda function will just save my save the user details inside my DynamoDB. So this is the functionality of this Lambda function. Along with that, I have a verify Q&A as well. So when the user is logged in over here, along with the, like, whenever the new user is created, the entry would be created here, and if the user is already a part of our Firebase authentication, then we'll be verifying the Q&A as a part of two-factor authentication, and over here we can just see that we are verifying the answers, and based on that, if it's verified, if the user is verified, we will return OK. Otherwise, we will say that there is an error verifying answers, and if the verified is false, it will be returned, and it is being handled in the code that the incorrect Q&A data has been entered. Then we have as the get user details Lambda. For this I am using basically it is differentiating on the basis of the email, and the email that differentiates because we are having user ID and email as unique in our application. So it's gonna yield me back the user which has this email ID, and if the user is not present, we will throw an error that there's an error fetching from the database. So this is my Lambda function. This is my DynamoDB. So before I move further with my Lambdas, I can show that this is my DynamoDB I'm using for user details, and currently I'm storing this data in my application. This is all the testing data we have used as of now. So email, first name, games played, last name, Q&A data, role, total points, user ID, and win-loss ratio. So we are currently storing, when the user registers, we are keeping the games played, the total points as 0, and the win-loss ratio, we are keeping it 0 or -1 based on the functionality that is required. Also, when what happens is, whenever there's any update on this thing, it will automatically get updated into my DynamoDB. So we have the Lambdas for that as well. Now this is mostly about the authentication part, and this is how user will be authenticated based on the credentials as well as the Q&A data. Once logged in, we can come on to my second feature, which is edit profile. The user will be redirected to a new page which is showing the edit profile options for the users, and the profile options would show the data from the DynamoDB. So apart from the Q&A data, everything would be shown here, and I'll be using this get user icon lambda in order to fetch the profile picture for that particular user. So this is my code. So what I'm doing is like I'm extracting the I'm passing the email, and the email is being used. So what I'm doing is like I'm putting a key, making a unique key based on email, and putting a suffix of _user_icon, and checking this key if it is present in my bucket, which is named as user icon trivia. So over here I have a S3 bucket, the user icon trivia, which helps me save the updated user profile picture, and it is having a unique key, as I'm keeping the email as the key part, and having _user_icon as the part where I'm storing the name of the icon. So this is how I'm fetching the icon. In case the icon does not exist, which can be the case that for my application, so we are returning a 200, but we are returning nothing over there, which is being handled in my code, that in case we are having a 200, and based on that we are having if we are not having any body for that, then that means the user image has not been updated, and we'll use a sample avatar for our trivia game. Similarly, I'm using the get users as well here. So this over here will show me all the users present in our application. So over here you can see that I'm just doing a DynamoDB scan on my this DynamoDB table, and it will yield out each and every users present in our data. And also we have the edit profile functionality, which is being handled with this lambda and with this API gateways. So what happens is I'm able to edit first name and last name. As of now, we are not editing email, role, or user ID as per our functionality, but we are able to edit first name and last name, and based on that we'll be able to update the following values in our DynamoDB. I'm straightforward updating these values into our DynamoDB. So these are the backend services to update the user I'm using. Then coming on to the user scores. So this is the functionality which is required for my teammate to get the user's data. So and like update this user data. So by default we are storing 0, -1 and 0 based on the requirement, and then this thing is being passed to my teammate, and I'll be sharing this API gateway link to him, and by this way he is able to update the user scores, which then gets updated into this DynamoDB. So like this week it has been updated for some user, which is this Shivam, and the total points are 100 and games played are 50. So wins loss ratio can be like this for that particular user, and this can be done. So then I have this upload image lambda. So upload image lambda is doing nothing but we are passing the body. So body contains two things, one is the email and one is the base64. So when I'm passing the email and the base64, what it's doing is it's taking the email, it's creating a new key of user icon, and if it is taking this base64 data and converting it back to as a params, and then we are getting a object if it is already there. So if the object is already there, then we will delete that, and otherwise we are directly uploading it into our S3 bucket. So we are checking if the key already exists in our, that means the user has already uploaded his display pic, and otherwise if it is not there, then we are just right away uploading the user icon. So this is the logic that I am using for the user icons. So this is my S3 bucket. You can see that these were the users that I've already created. So it can be the case that some users cannot have a display icon, but once they update, it will be automatically added into our S3 bucket, and upon reload the user icon will be fetched. So this is pretty much about my lambda. Each and every lambda over here is being triggered by our API gateway. So this is the API gateway. This. So similarly, I have these for my API gateways. So as part of functionality, what happens is when the get profile loads, it loads the contents of like all these get lambda get triggered because I'm adding this into my user effect. So that way that is happening. So this is the part of my code where I'm adding the functionality. I'm using React to create this code. So this is the part of all the authentication that are being called. This is the edit profile, and these are the corresponding components that I have in user authentication, the logos and everything. So this is the like Q&A. If you could see that we are calling, this is like a sample post request which is going, and similarly we are calling the corresponding lambdas and our backend services to have this. And similarly in the edit profile, you can see that these are the methods that we have currently. So yeah, so this is how I'm triggering my code, and this is how my application is working. Thank you.